Okay, we are recording.
Okay, I see it.
Okay.
Good.
Hallelujah.
All right, here we go.
Well, my honey's got most of my notes, but I found more stuff in while you guys were eating. So I'm super excited.
You should have been here. You would have liked it.
Well, I don't think you guys want what I have.
No, but we're sending you food, dear. You'll get some rice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to start in Deuteronomy 32.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're gonna read, each one of us read a little bit of something, I think.
You want me to start?
Yeah. We could do a round table reading. So I'm gonna try to get through Isaiah 25, so 3 chapters. So we want to kind of
Okay.
read through the whole chapter, and then we'll go back and highlight what we discovered.
We'll start with, we're going to do 32 today and Isaiah 25 today.
Isaiah 24 and 25, if we can. So we'll try to plow through these so that we don't spend days and days on them.
There we are.
So you want to read all of Deuteronomy and then we will go back to the notes?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, go Karen.
Give ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, which is land, the words of my mouth. Let my teaching drop as the rain, my speech distill as the dew, as raindrops on the tender herb, and as showers on the grass. For I proclaim the name of the Lord,
Yahuwah.
Mhm.
ascribe greatness to our
Elohim.
He is the rock. He is perfect. For all his ways are justice. A Yahuwah.
An L of truth.
And yeah, that was truth.
Is it L? See,
Just L.
Yeah.
L of truth. And without injustice, righteousness, and upright is he. They have corrupted themselves. They are not his children because of their blemish. A perverse and crooked generation. Do you thus deal with the Lord Yahweh?
Yahuwah.
O foolish and unwise people, is he not your father who bought you? Has he not made you and established you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you, when the Most High divided their inheritance to the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the boundaries of the peoples according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the place of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land, and in the wasteland a howling wilderness. He encircled him. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye, as an eagle stirs up its nest, hovers over its young, spreading out its wings, taking them up, carrying them on its wings. So the Lord alone led him, and there was no foreign God with him.
Mine says no strange mighty one.
Oh.
So remember what we were talking about a minute
Right,
ago?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to keep going or what?
If you want to.
He made him ride in the heights of the earth, that he might eat the produce of the field. He made him draw honey from the rock, and oil from the flinty rock, curds from the cattle, milk of the flock, with fat of lambs, and rams of the breed of Bashan.
Bashan.
Ooh.
What's that?
Later.
Yeah.
And goats with the choicest wheat. And you drank wine, the blood of the grapes. And it says Jeshurun, but I wrote Israel. Grew fat and kicked.
Yes, you're done.
You grew fat, you grew thick, you are obese. Then he forsook God who made him, and scornfully esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with foreign gods. With abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed to demons, not to God. To gods they did not know. To new gods, new arrival, that your fathers did not fear. Of the rock who begot you, you are mindful and have forgotten the God who fathered you. And when the Lord saw it, he spurned them. Because of the provocation of his sons and his daughters. And he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be, for they are a perverse generation, children in whom is no faith. Okay, next. Who wants to read?
They made me jealous by what is not El. They provoked me with their worthless matters, but I make them jealous by those who are no people. I provoke them with a foolish nation. For a fire was kindled in my wrath and burns to the bottom of Sheol and consumes the land and its increase, and sets on fire the foundations of mountains. I gather evils upon them. I use my arrows upon them, wasted by scarcity of food and consumed by heat and bitter destruction. At the teeth of beasts I send upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword bereaves from the outside, and fear from within. Both young man and maiden, nursing child with the man of gray hairs, I said I should blow them away. I should make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. If I did not fear the enemy's taunt, lest their adversaries misunderstand, lest they say, our hand is high, and Yahuwah has not done all this. For they are a nation lost to counsel, and there is no understanding in them. If they were wise, they would understand this. They would consider their latter end. How would one chase 1,000 and two put 10,000 to flight unless their rock has sold them and Yahuwah has given them up? For their rock is not like our rock. Even our enemies are judges. Their vine is of the vine of Sedom and of the fields of Amorah. Their grapes are grapes of gall, and their clusters are bitter. What?
Sodom. It's okay, go on.
Yeah, keep going. Their wine is the poison of serpents and the fierce venom of cobras. Is it not stored up with me, sealed up among my treasures? Vengeance is mine and repayment at the time their foot slips, for near is the day of their calamity, and the matters prepared are hastening to them. For Yahuwah rightly rules his people and has compassion on his servants. When he sees that their power is gone and there is no one remaining shut up or at large, and he shall say, where are their mighty ones, the rock in whom they sought refuge? Who ate the fat of their slaughterings and drank the wine of their drink offering? Let them arise and help you. Let it be a hiding place for you. See now that I am he, and there is no Elohim besides me. I put to death and I make alive. I have wounded and I heal, and from my hand no one delivers. For I lift my hand to the heavens and shall say, as I live forever, if I have sharpened my flashing sword and my hand takes hold on judgment, I shall return vengeance to my enemies and repay those who hate me. I make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword devours flesh with the blood of the slain and the captives. From the long-haired enemy chiefs. O nations, acclaim his people, for he avenges the blood of his servants and returns vengeance to his adversaries, and shall pardon his hand upon people. Then Moshe came with Hoshea, son of Nun, and spoke all the words of this song in the hearing of the people. And when Moshe ended speaking all these words to all Yisrael, he said to them, set your heart on all the words with which I warn you today, so that you command your children to guard to do all the words of this Torah. For it is not a worthless word for you, because it is your life. And by this word you prolong your days on the soil which you pass over the Yarden to possess. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe that same day, saying, Go up this mountain of the Abraham, Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, which is opposite Jericho, and look at the land of Canaan, which I give to the children of Israel as a possession, and die on the mountain which you ascend, and be gathered to your people, as Aharon your brother died on Mount Hor, and was gathered to his people. Because you trespassed against me in the midst of the children of Israel at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Sin, because you did not set me apart in the midst of the children of Israel. For you are to look at the land before you, but not enter there, and into the land which I am giving to the children of Israel.
I've got a question.
Sure.
What version of the Bible are you reading from? It's so close to one I have, but what is it?
It's called the Scriptures from the Institute for Scriptural Research.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Betcha.
So, do you guys see some parallels from what we've been studying in here?
Some, yeah.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah, from
mhm.
the Revelation. Verse.
I liked in verse 4. Well, we'll look at verse 3 and 4, where he says, I proclaim the name of Yahuwah, ascribe greatness to our Elohim, the rock with a capital R.
Amen.
His work is perfect, for all his ways are right ruling, an El of truth and without unrighteousness. Righteous and straight is he. So that's speaking of Yeshua, the rock.
It's so amazing because it shows all the way through here how faithful the one true Elohim is, and how he showed himself to them. He he guarded them and protected them, and how they abandoned him.
Right.
To
worship gods.
Yeah, and there's so much. I wrote down a lot, and Jay's got that, so he can go through some of the things I wrote down. And then whatever you guys seen too.
Well,
Like in verse 15, where it says, but Yeshurun grew fat and kicked. Do you have any notes on
who is Yeshua?
Yeah, it's actually Jacob in the Greek Septuagint.
Oh.
So that would be all of Israel.
It would be Israel.
Yeah. In the Greek Septuagint, it's Jacob ate and was filled up. And so change that to Jacob.
So Yeshurun is actually Jacob?
Hold on.
See,
Says Jeshurun is the upright as chosen by God, which would be Jacob, but it just says that.
Oh, it just defines it.
What verse are we talking about?
15. Yeah.
see, we're gonna begin to see some things in the Masoretic text as we study through this, where they wanted to avoid these prophecies against them,
Okay.
and so we will see. And this is one of those spots. They put that. What did they put in there? What did you guys got? Yeshurun.
Yeshurun, yeah.
And what's that?
Well,
I just explained it.
It's another name for Israel, is what my
Jacob. It's
You
another
said-
name. It's another name. It means the upright as chosen by God, according to Bullinger.
well, mine
Okay.
32:15, Jeshurun, a pet name for Israel.
Okay.
It means
Same person.
uprightness.
But I think that's incorrect. It's not Israel, it's Jacob.
Well,
Jacob, I'm sorry.
Jacob is
Yes,
Israel.
I was thinking of the land. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's
Just-
no.
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Your fault, Karen.
You got it kind of right on.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Appendix 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shoot. Sorry.
Oh, someone's phone.
Hey, well, I'm at Bible study. What are you doing? Are you kidding me?
Sis.
Okay.
God, he's a stubborn man.
Okay.
He's a stubborn man.
Or you can, honey, you can always hit pause
Oh,
So when
in the recording. Don't hit stop, but hit pause. What are you looking for?
the mouse.
It's not, the mouse is the little square on the,
Well, I guess the mouse is on here. Huh. Here it goes.
yeah.
It goes
As long as you hit pause, don't hit,
oh, not mute. It was pause.
don't hit stop.
I thought I seen it.
Pause is the little 2 lines.
Don't ask
Oh,
me.
right there. Yeah.
Wow. And he wasn't going to say bye to anybody?
Well,
Okay.
All right.
what should we read next? Or does
All right.
anybody have any
All
more
right.
questions?
All right.
Okay, well, let's wait till she gets off the phone.
I think.
Did you pause it or not?
Yeah, it's got two.
Okay.
It's got 2 dots there where it says recording. So I think so.
Mailbox, right.
Okay. Well, you'll have to unpause it when she's done on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I do
That's
too. I
what
do
it
too. But
is.
good grief. Well, maybe we'll just have to come to Arcata this summer. All right.
Oh.
All right, you can do that. You can do that. All right. Why didn't you just put him on a plane and send him back to California?
So whenever she gets done, I don't want to continue till we can record.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's go. Let's go.
Okay, is she done talking?
No,
Mm-mm.
no, not yet. She's on her conversation.
Hurry up, get done, Sherry.
I
Yeah,
will,
hurry up.
honey. I'm hurrying. All right. I'll yak at you after a while, okay? Okay, I love you. Okay, bye, honey.
All right.
Okay, now hit record again. Not pause. Okay, now I see it's green.
Back to California.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Let's see here.
What thing?
I think.
Okay.
It's good. It's
Here.
good.
It's recording. Okay, you're going.
Okay.
Okay, one thing I noticed.
I'm sorry about that, you guys.
That's okay.
My aunt are packing up, going back to California at this very moment.
Oh,
No.
Anyway,
It's kind of foolish, huh?
yes, it is, but that's their life.
okay. Anyway, go to verse 7.
Verse 7.
Yeah, it says,
Okay. 32
Yeah.
7.
And
remember the days. Are you there?
Yeah.
Remember the days of the eon.
Right.
Oh.
Indeed, the years of the generations of generations.
this
Yes.
refers to Psalm 77.
Consider
on.
the years of many generations.
What was it, verse 15?
7.
No, what was it?
7.
7.
Psalm 44:1.
Remember
This refers to
Exodus.
Psalm 77:5. Let me read it. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. Okay.
nothing.
Yeah, same old thing.
I've got Exodus 12:26.
So what does that mean on you remember the days of the eon?
Well,
Well, then we finished that. It says, ask your father and he will announce to you your elders and they shall speak to you. They were supposed to hold on to the God of their their fathers,
Right.
of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the days, so their generations of their generations. And I believe I put a note in there, honey, if you can find it.
It says when the Most High divided to the nations and their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam,
Which, no,
and he set the bounds of people.
Can you see somewhere it says 32:7 somewhere? Kind of scan through there.
yeah, there's
Read it. What does it say?
the days of the eon or age, years of the generations of generations. Then it goes to 3:8, I think 32:8 for another note.
This is where what he's talking about.
Oh, okay. What I was gonna say here is that the eon, it's defined here. It's their generations,
Yeah.
and when their generations,
Oh, their generations.
Yeah.
yes,
That can
Hello.
that in
when generations end,
in
that is the eon. It has nothing to do with the external world outside of Jerusalem, Israel, of Jacob.
And he set the bounds of the people or angels according to the number of children of Israel. Or Elohim.
Okay, so
So
we know.
you're looking at that as saying, see, this is only about,
Previous.
wait, okay, I lost my train of thought.
Previous.
So that the eons, if we move forward at the end of the age, end of the eon, according to the new covenant, would be the end of your generations.
Oh, all righty. Okay.
And we know that when the temple was destroyed, that destroyed their generations. That destroyed all of the evidence of their heritage. They could no longer, because they kept track of who begot who begot who begot who, all the way back. And so they could track that they were related to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And
Okay.
all of that was destroyed.
At the temple.
And then when they were dispersed.
The eon was the eon ended at the end of the old covenant.
Yes, at the destruction of the temple, because that destroyed their generations. They couldn't record. After that, there was no evidence. Anyone could walk up and say, "I'm related to so and so."
Correct.
Well, how do you know? Who's your father? Well, that's none of it's written down anymore.
See, it wasn't pertinent after that.
They had no evidence.
Yeah.
So that's what stuck out to me with these verses right here. There's so much more in here too. Okay, if we go down to verse 8, it talks about that he set borders around the land of Israel. He was talking specifically about the nation. Well, wait a second. Let me read this right, because I'm doing it from memory. He disseminated the sons of Adam. He set the borders of nations according to the number of the messengers. I think that should be messengers of Elohim. And his people, Jacob, became a portion for Yahuwah.
Right.
This is really important. They were not just another nation.
Right. He chose them specifically.
He chose them, and they had a specific calling among the nations, and they failed that calling. Now, it says below that, okay, so if we keep reading, it says Israel is the piece of measured out land of his inheritance. So the land of Israel is the inheritance for Jacob. The piece of measured out land.
Yeah. Where do you see that?
9, I think.
That's in 32:9 in the Greek Septuagint. What do you guys have?
Well, it just says, for the portion of Yahuwah is his people, Jacob his allotted inheritance.
So it took out the piece of measured out land.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So if they cease to be a nation, if their generations are destroyed, if they stop walking in Yahweh's ways, they lose their inheritance.
Wow.
Okay, they lose the land. It's all about the land.
So, oh, sheesh.
And he put borders around the land.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll continue on. He sufficed him in a wilderness land. Okay, so now it goes back, talks about the 40 years in the wilderness and the blessings that Yahuwah gave to them. And how he guarded them and protected them. And he alone led them. So we're moving on down to 13. He brought them into the strength of the land. Notice it's land there and not earth.
So,
Mine says earth.
Mine does too.
so verse
Heights
13,
of-
verse 13, you says he made him ride in the strength of the land.
So that's
Yes.
So
He
mine says,
brought them into the strength of the land.
okay,
Mine
wait a
says
minute.
high.
High places.
yeah, high places.
I don't like that, high places. That's
He
too.
fed them produce of fields. He nursed them with the honey from the rock, the olive oil from the solid rock. So he nourished them. He blessed the land to feed them.
Gave them both wine and milk of the sheep with fat of the lambs and rams of the breed of Bashan. With goats.
So this has
And
got
then-
got a lot of information in it. If you just
Bashan
tear it
is-
apart.
is-
Yes.
Verse 13.
He blessed, and they went into the land with milk and honey. And this specifically is talking about the borders of Israel, the land with the blessing. And then they got full and they got fat. This is a prophecy.
And they got-
Remember that Moses is writing this before he even enters the land. It's
Right.
a prophecy of the future.
Right.
And what Israel did, when they entered that land, they got rich. They got fat on it. And then they walked away from their deliverer, and
Yeah.
that's Yahusha.
Wow. And scorned the rock of his deliverance.
Yeah, and they scorned Yahusha. That's a prophecy of Yahusha. He is the rock of our deliverer. He is the rock. And then he provoked them with alien ones and their abominations. And verse 17, I always wondered where Stephen in Acts, Stephen accused them of sacrificing to demons or to
Right.
angels. And I never knew where he got that. He got it from right
Well,
here, 32:17.
The false gods. Yeah.
Yeah. So they sacrificed to demons and not to Elohim,
Yeah.
to gods in whom they knew not. New and newly made Elohim, or gods, may have come in whom knew not, or their fathers knew not.
Feared not. Yeah. Well, they didn't know him yeah. Right. Mighty ones that they did not know, new ones who came lately, which your fathers did not fear.
So this whole entire, this is what I want you guys to really grab. The whole reason why all this horrible stuff happens to Israel is because they walked away from that relationship.
Exactly. They grew fat and kicked.
It was always about a personal relationship with Yahuwah.
Yeah.
And to show Yahuwah to the nations. So there's that, and then, okay, so now he gets mad, and he turns away from his face from them. And I will show them in the last times. Now in verse 20.
Yeah.
Circle that, underline that, do whatever you gotta do. Because in the last time. Now, we talked about an eon being
Where?
20.
verse 20.
Mine says, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end will be, for they are a perverse generation, in verse 20.
Yeah.
Okay. And then mine says, and he said, I will turn away my face from them, and I will show what will be to them at the last time. For they are a perverse, a distorted generation. And remember Yahusha called them the perverse generation.
Yes.
He was directly quoting this scripture. He was telling them, you are this generation of Deuteronomy 32.
Yeah.
When he called them a perverse generation.
In Revelation.
No, in the Gospels.
Yeah, where he calls them a perverse generation.
Honey, I think I wrote down some scripture verses. Did I? I don't know if you
Acts
look in my notes. Acts 2:40.
Acts 2:40 is one. Philippians 2:15 is another. Let's look at 2:40.
We went a little bit ahead.
Yeah, we
Before
tried. Yeah, we
Oh,
tried
good.
to highlight stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had the opportunity.
240, she said.
Got it.
Oh, you just too fast.
No, I
Whoa.
pre-marked them.
If you get it,
Oh,
stand up
okay.
and read it. No.
240, you said.
And with many other words, he earnestly witnessed and urged them, saying, "Be saved from this crooked generation."
Okay, so right there,
Then those
who's
indeed
speaking?
who gladly received his word were immersed, and on that day about 3,000 beings were added to them.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
So that's
Okay.
Peter, right? Is that it? Turn to it.
In Acts.
Is
I
that
don't know.
Peter talking?
Acts 2:40.
Paul. Didn't Paul write Acts?
No, Paul's not saved yet.
It says,
So,
then
I
Peter
think,
said to them, repent. So
Okay, it was Peter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Peter.
yeah.
so he is specifically when he mentioned that this perverted generation, they knew
What
that he
was
was talking about Deuteronomy.
that's a reference
They had
to.
already. Yeah.
All right, I want to highlight this. So that is this crooked generation is a reference to Deuteronomy, what? 32.
32:20.
32:20.
He's saying, save yourself from this untoward generation. He's talking about the people right then that don't believe in
Yes.
Right, but they knew
Yes.
who it was. They knew that the reference came from.
So the fulfillment of Deuteronomy 32 prophecy is in the time of Yahusha.
Yep.
In that last generation.
Let's see.
That's the point I want to make.
All right,
Amen.
got it. Okay, and then Philippians 2:15. Oh wow! Wow. Okay, we'll read verse 14. He says, "Do all matters without grumblings and disputings, in order that you be blameless and faultless children of Elohim, without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation."
Philippians what?
2:15.
Oh, I didn't know we switched.
Oh, there I had it down.
Among whom you shine as lights in the world. Okay.
So there we see a crooked and perverse generation.
Yeah.
So there's that direct reference. When they see that a crooked and perverse generation, it's directly referencing this generation, the generation of Deuteronomy 32, meaning they are the ones that are about to be destroyed. Now,
But they know it includes them because they're still part of that generation. They're still part of that age, that eon.
Yes,
Okay.
this generation.
Okay.
And this is at the last time, at their end, in Deuteronomy 32:20. Show them at their end.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And then in Jeremiah 7,
27.
Jeremiah 7,
Oh.
29.
Oh, right.
I turned right to it. Kind of.
Good.
All right.
I turned
He
right to
says,
Jeremiah 7.
Cut off your hair and throw it away, and take up a lamentation on the bare heights, for Yahuwah has rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath.
Okay, and so my point with that was he has a specific generation appointed to wrath.
Mhm. The generation
Um,
of his wrath. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Specific generation. Okay. You know, gosh dang it. Specific. Specific.
I'm going to read 30. For the children of Judah have done evil in my sight, saith the Lord. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name
Oh, to the
pollute it.
violet. Yeah, see?
And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So now let's go back to Deuteronomy 32, because we can get all kinds of. I mean, there's so much scripture on this. But okay, so now we go into 32:22, and he talks about his rage.
Oh, sorry.
And
Oh, yeah.
and now remember last week we talked about his wrath in chapter 14.
Yeah, sort of.
So to verse 22, for the fire burns away from out of my rage. I don't know if you guys have rage or wrath.
Kindled in my wrath.
Mine says anger.
Yep. We got.
And it shall be burned unto the lower Hades.
Mm-hmm.
It shall devour the land and its produce. Do you guys have earth or do you have land?
We have earth, but I changed it to land.
Okay, this guy, he translated right. He translated as land.
Who's this guy?
Whoever, what's the name of the guy that did the polyglot?
Okay, alrighty.
Yeah, he translated as land in here.
Okay.
So this is really important. So the fire of his rage devours the land and its produce. And remember, if we go back, it talks about the land having borders.
Right.
Okay, so it's not the whole earth without borders. It's the land with borders.
Yeah.
The land of Israel.
I find it interesting that it talks about the lowest hell as though there are several degrees of hell.
Yeah, so this is the lower, mine says Hades. And shall blaze on the foundation of mountains. Foundations of mountains.
He said these are the people.
Yeah. I bring together to them bad things, and my arrows I will finish with them, melting them away in hunger, and being food of fowls, and affected incurable. Now remember what was it, the white horse or one of the horses in Revelation and all of the hunger?
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the curses right here. And then they were left they weren't even buried. They were left out for food for the fowls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there were so many of them that died. Mm-hmm. The teeth of wild beasts I will send as a successor to them, with the rage dragging them upon the ground. Now, remember they threw the bodies over the wall
Yeah.
Mhm.
and just left them. So you could just imagine all the wild animals coming in and devouring them. From outside, the sword shall make them childless. And from out of the inner chambers, fear of young man with the virgin, the one nursing being placed with the old man. So part of that curse was sexual depravity. So we read in Revelation, I don't know if it was chapter 11, I can't remember, where all of the wickedness of hell, just like all the demons and everything just broke loose in Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And the wickedness abounded more and more. That's what I think part of this is talking about right here. And I will disperse them.
Where?
I will cause them to cease
23:6.
from among men, to stop being remembered among men. This is really important right there, verse 26. He disperses them and stops them to be remembered. Their generations end. That's it. Over.
And then he was gone.
So that generation I should make cease from among men. And this is the generation of 70 AD. Wow.
Let's see.
Need to know how to make a note on that. I said I should. What does somebody else's say, verse 26? Mine says, I should blow them away. I should make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
Mine just says, I will dash them into pieces.
Scatter them into
I will
corners.
make the memory of them to cease from among men.
Okay.
That's what mine says.
Okay. Memories.
I will disperse them.
So memories
Oh.
memories of the generations prior to 70 AD.
Yes.
Okay. Just okay. Just a second.
They'll cease to be remembered and their records are gone.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this is a direct reference to those records in the temple. They can't, I don't care who comes up afterwards and says, well, let's say they got sold into slavery, but they continue to claim who they are. They have no record to prove it. And DNA is not going to work. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So how do the Mormons claim Levitical priesthood? I mean, who claims Levitical priesthood?
They can't. Not without them temple records.
Right. That's
can't.
interesting. Oh. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Assume.
That's something good to know.
Where does it say in my notes? It talks about the nations. I'm losing the spot where.
What?
It talks about the blessing to the nations and will make them jealous.
Oh,
Where is that?
Let's see.
Well, that
I
was.
can't remember.
that is. Okay, just a second.
It's like 10, isn't it? Why would you skip?
No,
Why would you skip backwards?
because
We're going.
yeah, I will. He said he would make them jealous.
And then you got 32
Oh,
to
verse 16. He says they moved him to jealousy with foreign matters. With abominations they provoked him. They slaughtered to demons not Eloah.
Well, there's a spot in here. Where does it say?
Oh,
Where
actually,
then he because of that okay, here I found it. Verse 21. They provoked me to jealousy over that which is not Elohim. They provoked me to anger with their idols, and I will provoke them to jealousy over that is not a nation. By a senseless nation, I will provoke them to anger. Okay, so the nations now, he turns his blessing to the nations, and there's more in here about the nations
They made me jealous.
being blessed, and the remnant. Let's see, where's that? I have it in my notes somewhere in there. Oh, here in verse 43, I see some.
Make my arrows drunk with blood. O nations who claim his people, he avenges the blood of his servants and returns vengeance to his adversaries and will pardon the land, his people. No.
I will heap mischief upon them, mine arrows upon them. Burnt with and bird.
Okay, I know, without seeing my notes, I know I have it marked, but I have in verse 43, be glad, O heavens, together with him, and do obeisance to him, to all angels of Elohim. Be glad, O nations, with his people, and grow in strength in him all. O sons of Elohim, for the blood of his sons shall avenge, and he shall avenge and recompense punishment to the enemies and to the one detesting him. And he will recompense, and the Lord shall clear out the land for his people.
Where are you reading?
I'm in verse 43.
Oh,
See, and mine reads, rejoice, O Gentiles, with his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants and render vengeance to his adversaries, which would be enemies, and he will provide atonement for his land and his people.
Where is it? I know.
Can I see
It's
the
in
notes?
I don't know what you're exactly
Let me see.
looking for.
So what is the reference, Anya, do you think, in your notes?
I'm looking for where it says in here where he gives it over to the nations in the remnant. I thought for sure it's in here.
well,
That'd be
didn't you have on
44
that
through
43?
I don't know what reference it is. That's why it's in my notes somewhere.
I will turn around my face from them.
You want me to read this?
The curse of fire burns. Finish them. Disperse and make them to be remembered no more. Punishment.
48, 49.
Okay, Jacob was set apart to be ruled by Yeshua.
I don't know what she's looking for.
I'm not sure. I can't figure out what you're
43.
looking for, hon.
Did you read 43, Anya?
Yes, I did. I just read it.
Okay.
So there's a specific generation for his wrath. Okay, and 32:7, the days of the eon.
Okay, now my question is, are you thinking about where it says, set your hearts on all the words which I testify among you today, which you shall command your children to be careful to observe all the words of this law, for it is not a futile thing for you, because it is your life, and by this word you shall prolong your days in the land which you cross over the Jordan to possess.
No. It's yeah. I'm not seeing where it is. But my point is there's a spot in here that talks about a few in number will be left.
I will turn.
But let me see. But anyway, we'll skip on. Unless maybe it's in Isaiah. And I'm just putting it into here. But anyway, let's go on to, remember in Revelation 14 where it talks about the reaping and the grapevines and the vine of his wrath. Let's see. I can turn there and read it real fast.
Turn where?
Revelation 14. Let's find the verses.
I need a different pen to write in my book with. You can't write little with a medium.
Oh, no.
You can't write thin.
Okay.
Oh,
Here's a
that's
pencil.
mine.
No, that's even worse.
Here, I'll read this one.
Well, I know I want my own. I don't want to borrow. I'll buy it from you.
No, I'm just
No,
saying
she
for
won't use
today.
it.
Oh.
She won't use it. She'll buy
What
it
colors
from
do you have?
Well, I used the red here.
Correct. Yeah, because I'll buy one from you if you want to. Do you use all of these
No,
colors?
just go buy your own because you'll want more than just what she has. I know you
That's
that
dark
much.
purple, I think.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
You don't.
No, I.
Here, I'll leave
No.
it there so she remembers to put it back.
I'm sorry.
Okay, guys.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, so
Let's go to 14:18.
Of what?
Of what?
Oh,
Revelation.
Revelation.
Duh.
See,
Yeah.
sir.
Turn us around once and we're lost.
Yep.
Revelation 14:18.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Now I'm so glad I'm here and not there because I have to yell over you.
Do
I
we
will
sound
read
that
it.
silly?
Yeah.
We
I will
do.
read it.
Okay.
And another angel came out from the altar who had power over fire, and he cried out with a loud cry to him who had the sharp sickle, saying, "Thrust in your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, and for her grapes are fully ripe."
Keep going.
Keep going.
Oh.
So the angel thrust his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of Yahweh. And the winepress was trampled outside the city. The blood came out of the winepress up to the horses' bridles for 1,600 furlongs.
Yeah, and wherever you said earth, it would be land.
Yeah.
'Cause-
that's
And if
what I
you
was
want to know,
wondering
it
about.
says that's 200 miles.
Okay. So now, so keep that in mind, and we go back to Deuteronomy 32. 32. Let's see. No, let's back up to 31. And their gods as our God, but our enemies are unthinking. For of the grapevine of Sodom is their grapevine.
32, 32.
Yep.
31 and
32.
32.
32. The grapevine of Sodom. So that's Sodom and Gomorrah. Is their grapevine, and their vine branch is from out of Gomorrah. Their grape is the grape of bile.
Mm-hmm.
Their clusters is bitterness to them. The rage of dragons is their wine. Even the incurable rage of asps. Behold, are not these things brought together by me, and to set a seal among my treasures? In the day of punishment I shall recompense in the time whenever their foot should trip, for the day of their destruction is near, and at hand prepared for you. And remember, he's telling this to the Israelites, to Jacob,
Who
the
doesn't?
day of your destruction.
Yeah.
For Yahuwah judges his people, and over his bondmen, and he shall be comforted, for he beheld their being disabled and failing in the hostile invasion, and were weakened. And Yahuwah said, Where are their gods upon whom they yielded upon them, of whom the fat of their sacrifices you ate, and drank the wine of their liberations? Let them rise up and help. So we see there the reference to the vine and the wine and the so
Genealogy.
that's
Genealogy.
interesting. Is there anything you guys seen in here while you guys were doing your study?
No.
Yeah,
Okay. So I think we can move on to Isaiah now.
Okay.
That was the biggest stuff that I saw that I really wanted.
There's a lot in that chapter.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. My battery's getting low, so I'm gonna have to plug it in and turn my screen off here.
Okay, 24.
Okay, yeah, so let's go to Isaiah 24. Okay, so who would like to read?
Let's read them. Yes.
Oh, maybe. Behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty. I don't know if that's land or not.
It's land.
And
Yeah,
maketh it waste,
this
and
earth
turneth it
turns
upside
to
down,
land.
scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with the messenger, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, and with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him.
Just a second, if I may. He is making the land empty. What we just read, he is wiping out their memory.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody from the highest to the lowest, he is wiping out
emptying
their
everything.
memory. Yeah. Wow.
And the land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord has spoken this word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away, the world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the world do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men.
Stop.
Wow.
Stop there.
Okay, so
Stop.
if you go back and you change all those earths into land, and the reason why I know this is because the whole earth did not make a covenant with the God of Israel.
Correct.
Correct. And we saw in Deuteronomy that was the case, that he chose Jacob out of all of the sons of Adam.
Okay.
So you can very solidly change every single instant of earth to land.
Okay.
And it will make a whole lot more sense.
What about the world languisheth? What does the Greek say there?
Okay, so let's go back to verse 1. And behold, the Lord Yahuwah lays waste the inhabitable world, and will make it desolate, and will uncover its surface. When I was studying this, I realized that the inhabitable world here for Isaiah is actually Israel,
Okay.
because they didn't consider anything outside of Israel as
Yeah.
viable at that time. And then it makes more sense as we continue. But Yahusha, he said this might be in my notes, in Matthew 23, verse 37. I think it's there. It says that he tells them that their house is already desolate.
Yeah, Anya, what in verse 4 of Isaiah 24, is that word world, is that different?
That is Ikumene.
Oh, that's the inhabitable world.
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote at the top of my page, Earth equals land.
Yes, I wrote it all over.
So I have to cross out each one.
I also put a square around every one that says Earth.
Yeah, that would work.
Because it's everywhere, and if you change it to land, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah, you're right.
So then we go back to verse 1, and it shall uncover its surface. Okay, so it's Yahuwah lays waste to Israel. The inhabitable world is Israel here, and will make it desolate, and shall uncover its surface, and disperse the ones dwelling on it. Now, if it was the whole world, where would he disperse them to?
That's right. That's right.
Probably Idaho.
That doesn't make sense. And we've seen in Deuteronomy that the dispersion is one of the curses. So I know that has to be Israel.
Wow.
Verse 2.
Anybody else is being human.
And the people will be as priests, and the servants as the master, and the female attendant as the lady, will be as the lady, the one buying as the one selling, the one borrowing as the one lending, and the one owing as the one who is owed. What this is meaning is, all of a sudden he'll make everything equal.
Yeah.
Everyone will be equal. Nobody will be higher than the other. After he lays waste to his people and disperses them, he makes everybody else equal. So all the people become priests.
So you're saying that that part pertains to our future?
Yeah, no, that proceeds to today, our day. That proceeds from 80 to 80, 70 on, or even from Yahusha's death on.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
All are made equal.
So, in the kingdom of Yahuwah, there's neither male nor female. We could put it in these terms. There's neither a priest and a equal, and a layman, or a master and a servant, or a slave and a,
That kind of ditches the Mormon philosophy.
So all are made equal from 70, 80 onward.
Mormon, and Catholic too.
Don't you think?
No.
I believe from the death of Yahusha onward.
Yeah.
But so we see that is a blessing right there. And then verse 3, this tells you how he's destroying. By corruption, the land shall be corrupted. By plunder, the land shall be plundered. It's kind of like with an eye for an eye. If you were corrupted, I'm going to use corruption to get you. If you were stealing, I'm going to steal from you. From the mouth of Yahuwah spoke these things. The land mourns. Now, where did we read mourning about? We read that last week. You guys remember?
No. It's like
Um,
reading 6.
how about Revelation 1 verse 7?
Revelation 1:7.
Got Isaiah 3:26, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and the being desolate shall sit upon the ground.
Okay, Revelations 1:7. Behold, he is coming with clouds, and every eye will see him, even they who pierced him, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn
Because of him.
Even so, amen.
Okay. So the land, or the tribes of the land shall mourn. And then the verse 4 says the land shall mourn. And the world is corrupted. And that's ecumene, the inhabitable world.
This says the land will mourn and fade away.
And in verse 4,
That's Bollinger.
yeah, mine doesn't say.
The land mourneth, fadeth away. The world languisheth, fadeth away.
Yeah, mine doesn't say that.
Oh.
Mine says, the Septuagint says, the land mourns, and the then known world is corrupted. The lofty ones of the land mourn. The land acted lawlessly on account of the ones inhabiting her. So now verse 5 is the why he had to destroy them. Because they acted lawlessly. And they were not supposed to intermix. They weren't supposed to marry with other nations and embrace their gods. That's why they weren't supposed to intermix. And so we see here they acted lawlessly because the ones that lived among them. For they transgressed the law of Yahuwah and effaced and bartered away the orders of the eternal covenant.
Broken the everlasting covenant. Wow.
Therefore this curse shall devour the land. And the one dwelling in it sinned. The one dwelling in it sinned.
Finished.
On account of this, the ones dwelling on the land will be poor, and a few men will be left behind. This is where I was talking about the remnant.
Okay, so this is the destruction of Jerusalem.
Yes, and there will be a few men left behind. There's a remnant.
Verse 6. And a few men shall be left.
Are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Okay, I got it.
So you can write remnant next to the few men left.
Yeah.
Then verse 7, the wine shall mourn. Now wine doesn't have mourning to it. I mean, wine doesn't have feelings. But wine represents the people of the earth, of the land.
The new wine shall fail.
The new wine must. This is it.
And so then this gets back us to the grapevine.
Yes.
And wrath on the grapevine. And so we know that grapevines can't mourn either. So this has to do with the people of the land of Israel.
Men left. Few men left.
The
They-
deserted city.
Must mourn it. They must
There you
mourn
go.
divine language. Hallelujah.
And there's some grapes to eat.
Oh, wow, the glad, this is, yeah.
That's the people, okay?
Well, there won't be any crops. The new wine, there won't be any crops
Oh,
either.
Yeah, and then if you keep reading it, it says the ones being glad in soul shall moan. And see, they use the wine to make them glad.
Oh,
know,
glad. This is drink happy.
So suddenly their sad, their happiness becomes sadness.
Because they run out.
The tambourine, so their dancing stops. Their self-sufficiency, their riches stop. The harp stops. They're ashamed. They did not drink wine. Liquor became bitter to the ones drinking. Every city was desolate. One shall lock the house and not enter.
What every city?
Every city in Israel.
Oh, this wasn't just about Jerusalem. This was.
Well, mine says every city. And what does yours say in verse 10?
Verse 10 says, the deserted city shall be broken down, and every house shall be shut. No one enters. I just thought.
I wondered if maybe there's. I didn't go into the translation here. That word for that he translated every. It may be able to be translated something different. Because it didn't make sense to me.
Confusion.
What does yours say,
Confusion
Karen?
means desolation in this one.
One city or two?
But every.
Mine just says the city of confusion is broken.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So everybody else's just refers to a city.
So what did she say about every?
Versus every city. But every isn't correct.
I bet you it's not, because it makes more sense given history.
Yeah. Right.
But they did. Now when they declared war on the Jews, they did attack all of Judea.
Other cities. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
Okay, 24:10. Where in the heck is it? Gosh dang.
It could, instead of every, it could have been all. Like all of the city was left desolate.
Okay.
That would make sense.
Yes.
Instead of every city, all of the city was desolate. And one shall lock the house and not enter.
Right.
Okay, I'll read that. And if a debt might be owed by your neighbor, any debt whatsoever, you shall not enter into his house to take for security of his item for security. Now, what word you said? Every?
Are you in verse 10?
Right.
I don't know. You got a whole lot of extra words.
24:10.
No.
Oh, well, where the heck am I supposed to be?
Isaiah 24.
Oh, for crying.
24:10.
I'm telling you. 4:10 here. Let's see. Okay.
She thought she was onto something.
Yeah, here. No, I was just trying to read it for her. But it's okay. I got to read. I got to start at 9. They are ashamed. They did not drink wine. Liquor became bitter to the ones drinking. Every city was desolate. One shall lock the house. Do not enter.
Okay, you're reading from the Septuagint.
See, that's what she's reading from is the Septuagint, Nancy. She's reading.
Pasa, every pasa.
So if you change that word every could also possibly be all. Like all of the city.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Like so it or the whole city. The whole city was desolate. One shall lock the house and to not enter. And the house. This is not houses. House. What is the house in Jerusalem?
That's the temple.
That's the temple. Because Yahusha says, your house shall be left desolate.
Mine says every house is shut out.
That's not right. It's the temple. because, okay, think about it. They destroyed the cities. Nobody got to go in their house and shut the doors because they were all destroyed. Okay, so the deserted city shall be broken down, and every house shall be shut, no one enters. See, that doesn't make sense, every house.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And the temple was still standing when Yahusha told them that it was left desolate.
Okay, Anya,
Yeah.
that also, it says without the article, each or every kind of all, full of absolute greatest, with the article entire whole all. That doesn't make, I'm sorry, that doesn't seem, I can't make that sentence in my head.
To say temple?
Yeah. I can't say it to.
Well, it may not be that, but it could be. I'm just saying what Yahusha said, your house is left to you desolate.
Right.
I didn't know that he said that, and he was meaning the temple when he said that.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if this is exactly what Isaiah is saying.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on here. We got a lot to cover here.
Okay. Verse 11 or where?
Okay, verse 13, it says, all these things will be on the land in the midst of the nations. Now, if it was on the earth in the midst of the nations, wouldn't it fill all the nations too? Not just, because the land is surrounded by the nations.
Mine says peoples. Mine says among the peoples.
Yeah.
She's
Like the shaking.
Yeah, so Gentiles.
nations. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay.
As if one should glean in all of tree, thus shall they glean.
Okay, now verse 14, I love verse. Okay, and these in a voice shall yell out, but the ones being left behind, the remnant upon the land, shall be glad together in the glory of Yahuwah.
Wow. Boy, mine does not say that. It says,
The
who
water
are
of
they?
The sea shall be dispersed.
In verse 4, the land are the survivors.
Because remember it said the few are left behind. It said that in verse 6. Those left behind. So now to those left behind in verse 14.
Okay.
They
shall yell out.
So, and these in a loud voice shall yell out. But the ones being left behind upon the land shall be glad together in the glory of Yahuwah. The water of the sea shall be disturbed. On account of this, the glory of Yahuwah will be among the islands of the sea. The name of Yahuwah will be honored. Remember we talked about the sea being the Gentiles?
Yeah, nations.
Yeah.
Oh, the coastland. So it should say the coastlands of the lands of the nations, not coastlands of the sea.
Right.
Well, the islands. So, everybody, because they Israel was right on the border of the Great Sea, and so when they would take their ships out, they would go into the nations. So the nations were seen as the islands off of the coast.
Okay, so 14 in mine says, they shall lift up their voice, they shall sing for the majesty of the Lord. They shall cry aloud from the sea. So would that sea be nations?
Yeah. So sea represents the nations, and we see that in a lot of other verses.
Right.
But we'll continue and we'll see it more clearly in other verses here. I'm about to lose my voice. Verse 16. O Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, from the wings of the land. Excuse me. We heard miracles, hope to the pious, but they shall say, woe to the ones annulling and the ones annulling the law. Fear and the pit.
It's like you're not even reading from the same Bible.
It's all different, isn't it? I told you guys, the Septuagint has it totally different. So read verse 16.
Okay. From the ends of the land we shall hear songs, splendor to the righteous one. But I say, I waste away, I waste away. Woe to me! The treacherous betray, with treachery, the treacherous betray.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Verse 16?
Yeah.
24:16?
Yes.
And mine reads, from the ends of the land we've heard songs, glory to the righteous. But I said, I am ruined, ruined, woe to me. The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. Indeed, the treacherous dealers have dealt very
Isaiah?
treacherously.
I mean, that's all totally different.
That's
that's
mine
mine.
too.
Let me
So
read this.
just let me get there in the
O
Septuagint.
Lord God of Israel, from the wings of the land, we heard miracles. Oh, let me find my place. Hope to the pious. But they shall say, woe to the ones annulling the law. The ones annulling the law.
See, that doesn't even, it's like
not
two
even
different
close.
languages.
Okay,
Different interpreters, that's for sure.
24 what?
And it's Theos, Israel, Israel,
16.
from the
Oh,
wings
Lord
of the
God,
earth.
From the wings
We
of the
heard
earth.
miracles.
Miracles.
Hope to the pious, but they shall say, woe to the ones annulling the law.
so now if you think about this verse and you go to the gospel, there were miracles all over the gospels sharing, and the people performing the miracles were like Yahusha and the disciples, and what were they telling everyone? They were telling everyone, woe to you, that don't, and Yahusha said, listen to their words, but do not do what they do, because they don't do the law.
Right?
So to me, the Greek Septuagint sounds more accurate according to prophecy.
It's getting more and more that's the book to read, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I don't even hardly pick it up.
I like the way the scriptures read, calling his name and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's nice for regular reading, but for deep study, you want to turn to your Septuagint to make sure.
Wow.
For doctrine, I wouldn't stick with them. I would go back to the Septuagint.
He says, yeah, what did he say? He said to the Pharisees, don't do what they do. Don't listen to them. Don't do what they do. Don't do what they say.
He said, listen to them. Listen to them. Listen to their words, but don't do what they do.
But don't do what
They don't even do what they say.
Yeah.
So verse 17, one of you guys read it.
17. Let's see.
Fear and a pit and a snare is upon you, O ones dwelling upon the earth.
Yep.
Supposed to be up on the land. The Septuagint says earth.
Keep going.
And it will be the one fleeing the fear shall fall into the pit, and the one going up from out of the pit shall be captured by the snare. For windows from out of the heaven were opened, and the foundations of the earth
shall be shaken.
wait till I get there.
Okay.
Shall be shaken by disturbance. Oh man, see, this is what I don't like.
The earth shall be disturbed.
You read.
By disturbance, the earth shall be disturbed, and with perplexity. Oh, I gotta get it closer. The earth shall be perplexed.
Men's hearts to fail.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
Jay, why don't you read that section out of your Bible?
Yeti.
What we just read.
Verse
Starting in verse
20.
verse 7. Start with verse 17
Yeah.
and read
And then read through to
to wherever you just
end.
stopped.
19 through
Okay.
19.
Here in the pit and the snare are upon you, O inhabitant of the land, and it shall be that he who flees from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. And he who comes up from the midst of the pit shall be caught in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth are shaken. The earth is shaken, the land is shaken exceedingly. The land shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall totter like a hut. Its transgression shall be heavy upon it, and it will fall and not rise again.
So that's talking about the temple because it hasn't risen again. Is that right?
Okay. Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going, honey. Read the end of the chapter all the way.
Okay, it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh will punish on high the host of exalted ones, and on the land the kings of the earth. They will be gathered together, as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and will be shut up in the prison. After many days they will be punished. Then the moon will be disgraced and the sun ashamed. For Yahuwah of Sabaoth will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem and before his elders gloriously.
Okay, we got to read this in the Septuagint, verse 23. This is amazing. Okay, we'll start in 22. It's powerful because they deleted a whole entire phrase. This specifically is prophesying AD 70, and we'll see it. So verse 22, and they shall gather its I like how the New King James says it. They shall gather them together and shall lock them into a fortress as in a jail, and through many generations. Mine says generations, but it's days.
But it's what?
They shall so they're locked up, okay, and we know they did that. They were locked inside the walls. And then verse 23. Listen to this in the Septuagint. And the brick shall melt away, and the wall shall fall.
Wow.
Wow.
Huh.
Wow.
And the moon.
Instead of the moon being
Go ahead.
Not instead. They just deleted that whole phrase. And the moon shall remorse, and the sun be ashamed, and Yahuwah shall reign in Zion from out of Jerusalem, and before the elders he shall be glorified.
So who omitted that phrase?
Well, whoever the
Every-
translator-
The Masoretics, the Jews, omitted that phrase.
When they were
They're
yeah,
reading out in the Masoretic text.
in all the translations.
Because all those translations are based off the Masoretic Hebrew text.
Yeah.
Wow.
This specifically is, we all know the walls did not fall until AD 70.
Right.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I think to me just.
Wow.
Well, I know, but it's so hard.
I know, but I gotta learn. I gotta learn to read
You
this.
gotta learn it correctly now.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
So,
Yeah.
so,
Hmm?
what do you want to say?
Version did you read from?
Oh,
King
New King James.
New King James. Okay. Wow, this is amazing.
Well, that verse that was left out is in the polyglot.
The Bible that we bought called the Polyglot.
Yeah, I was looking at both of them.
It's included in there, but not in the others.
Yeah.
The Hebrew that I have learned, I put in like Yahweh Sabaoth is Lord of hosts. It reads, but
Okay, so let's skip ahead real fast.
Okay, where's
25:12.
25 what?
12.
25:12.
Okay.
oh,
What does that say, honey, in your Bible?
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, you in a Bible other than the polyglot?
Yeah.
All right, 25.
12.
25:12. All right. In the scriptures it says, "In the high stronghold of your walls, he shall bring down, lay it low, level to the ground,
Whoa.
down to the dust."
All right.
There we go.
There you go.
And in the Septuagint it says, "And the height of the refuge of your house he will lower, and it shall go down to." Oh, okay. So they got that right.
Yeah.
So now you can put 25:12. So if you're going to use your whatever Bible you're using, make sure you go back to verse 22 of 24:22.
Yeah.
Or no, 23, sorry.
Yeah.
23. And write, "The bricks shall melt away and the walls shall fall." Put that in there before it talks about the moon.
Oh,
They just omitted the first half of that verse.
Wow.
See, that's incredible.
Wow.
Isaiah 24 and
And shall melt away the brick. See, isn't there something in Peter that talks about the elements melting?
Yes.
Is that referring to this also?
It could be yeah, well, see, wait, that's a whole nother study, but the elements, I guess they refer to having to do with the temple, and what the temple represents is the elementary principles of Judaism.
Oh, because people use that as prophecy for
yeah.
nuclear blasts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
uses the word melt away.
Yeah.
Oh, let's look.
That's in-
Where's it found? Where's that found?
I don't know. That's getting off
Well,
the
that
that's,
would be right back to
that's
your-
getting off the
That's
track.
important.
It melt away would be your in your Isaiah 24,
Yeah.
and about 22, 23.
How
Look
about
at
in the
Peter.
New Testament?
Well, I don't know that part.
Google. Get in the Bible where the words melt away.
So I do know that if we could, I think after Isaiah wrote this, they were taken to Babylon, and the temple, or the walls.
Well, the words.
I remember Nehemiah had to rebuild the walls, but I don't think they were melted. But I think this is directly referring to AD 70, and we'll continue and remember there's no chapter division. So
Right.
after they get melted away and the sun and the moon mourn, and the sun and the moon, we see in the scriptures all over the place about the sun and the moon turning dark and all this stuff. And it has to do with the higher ups, not necessarily because remember Joseph's vision, and the sun and the moon bow down,
Yeah.
Ruling class. It refers to the ruling class.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like kind of like the mother and the father. The sun and the moon represented the mother and the father.
Okay.
And a lot of these word pictures they get from Genesis and they carry them on. So the sun and the moon they mourn, and then Yahuwah shall reign in Mount Zion from out of Jerusalem. This is the New Jerusalem. If we turn to Hebrews 12:22, we will see that.
Hebrews 12:22.
Oh, okay.
When you get it, read it.
12:22.
Oh, I got it marked.
Yeah, we've talked about it several times.
Yeah. You want me to read?
Sure.
But you have come to Mount Zion and to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and church of the firstborn who are registered in heaven, to God, the judge of all, to the spirits of just men made perfect, to Yahusha, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaks better things than that of Abel.
So, and then if you read the whole context of that, he's comparing Mount Zion with Mount Sinai, and the Mount Sinai represents the old covenant, and Mount Zion represents the new covenant and the new Jerusalem. Do you guys see that there? How that works in Hebrews?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that's a direct reference back to this too, because Yahusha, after he destroys the wall, then he sets up reign in the New Jerusalem. And Hebrews is written in 67, 68, somewhere around there. And he already tells them, you have come to the New Jerusalem. Not the New Jerusalem will be coming soon. You have already come there. You are in Mount Zion. Okay, we're going to see that reference further on in chapter 25. So keep that in your head. And the elders shall be glorified, okay? So, Yahuwah shall be glorified before the elders in the New Jerusalem. Okay, now verse 1:25. O Yahuwah my Elohim, I will glorify you. I will sing praise to your name, for you did wonderful things. The true ancient counsel, may it be, for you made critics, or you made cities into embankments of heap. They were fortified cities, not to fall of their foundations. That city.
In the Bible.
Let's see. I hate it when they got this all mixed up. The city of the impious ones into the eon in no way should be built. Okay, so the walls, now get this. Yeah, people live in this city. They have not rebuilt those walls.
No, nope, they have not.
They have not rebuilt the walls.
That word,
and the people living in that city that claim to be Jews, they have no way to say that they're Jews.
that word elements takes on a whole new meaning now.
Now verse 3, on account of this, the poor people shall bless you. and the cities of men being wronged shall bless you, for you became a helper to every humble city, and to the ones being depressed, a protection to the ones being depressed on account of lack. You shall rescue them from the wicked men, a protection of one's thirsting, and a fresh wind for men being wronged. Okay, so this is all a blessing after the temple is destroyed, after the walls of the city are destroyed.
You're on Isaiah 25:3, correct?
I just read 4.
Yeah.
So now I'm on 5.
Okay.
Okay, as faint-hearted men thirsting in Zion, for you shall rescue them from impious men, to whom you delivered us. So that's a promise. Those are new covenant promises. And the Yahuwah of hosts shall make a feast. Okay, now we're getting into the marriage supper of the Lamb. He shall make a feast for all of the nations.
Now, where are you?
I am in verse 6.
Okay.
I forget. You guys might have something totally different.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. It's
Okay.
for all the nations upon this
So he
mountain.
shall make a feast for all of the nations upon this mountain. What mountain? Mount Zion. Zion. They shall drink in gladness. They shall drink wine. See, this directly contrasts what happened. We read about the wine in the last chapter and how they lost they no longer, they mourned. They were mourning. And they get destroyed, and Yahuwah replaces them with the nations. And the nations rejoice.
And the nations.
And they shall anoint with perfume, liquid perfume on this mountain. They shall be anointed. And that's a picture of the Ruach, the spirit of Yahuwah. You deliver all these things to the nations.
For this plan is unto all the nations. Wow.
This is a plan for all the nations. Hallelujah. It is not Israel only, folks. Whoever's listening to this.
The Lord.
Now, what verse are you on?
That was verse 7.
25.
Yeah, okay.
Highlight that thing and hold on to it. And then death is swallowed, prevailing. Again, Yahuwah Elohim removed every tear from every face. Do you guys remember where we read that?
Yeah, in Revelation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he removed the scorn of the people from the land. For the mouth of Yahuwah spoke. And they shall say in that day, that's something else. You got to circle or highlight or something, wherever you see in that day. Because it's specifically talking about the day, that time when the walls are destroyed.
After 70 AD.
Yep. Yep. In that day when the walls are destroyed.
Shall deliver us. This is the Lord. This is the Kyrios we waited for.
Okay.
Behold. Huh?
Go ahead.
Okay, behold, our Elohim upon whom we hoped, even he shall deliver us. This is Yahuwah. We waited for him. We exalted and we were glad over our deliverance. That's Yahusha. Whenever you see deliverance or salvation, I don't know what your guys' says, but that's Yahusha. And they waited for him, and he came. And Elohim will give rest upon the mountain. This reminded me of Revelation 14:13. You guys remember talks about being in rest?
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. Rest. That will be God will give rest. Okay. The
Revelation 13:14, you said?
14:13. The Spirit says yes, for they shall rest from their toils, and their works shall follow after them. So Yahuwah shall give them rest in Mount Zion, however you want to say it.
I
Zion.
like to say Zion.
what scripture was that? 14:13.
That's what she said.
14:13.
14:13.
Blessed are the dead, Lord, from now on. Is that what she's reading?
And I heard a voice from out of the heavens saying to me, "Write, blessed are the dead ones dying in the Lord from now on."
That's a promise.
The Spirit says yes, for they shall rest from their toils, and their works shall follow after them.
So what is this, Isaiah 25?
So
12.
okay, their works will follow after them. Okay, so then we emphasize that the works follow after them and not precede them. So it's
Rest, and they rest.
and they rest, right?
Yeah, so new covenant, in the new covenant, as we enter into his place, his presence, which is the Mount Zion, we enter into his rest, and we don't, as we find that place of rest, it's not a place we walk out of. It's a place that we learn to abide in,
Right.
and we don't leave the mountain.
Wow.
From now on. From now
on. Yeah, so it said there, now on. So this Mount Zion, all this has directly to do with Revelation, which has to do with 80-70. So Isaiah, this has to be 80-70.
Revelation 14.
13 or something.
Yeah, 14:13.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's 13 from now on.
Now,
Die in the Lord from now on.
So, and I just got to read 16:1.
Of what, honey? Of Revelation?
Isaiah. 26:1.
This one, okay?
In that day, the day after the temple or the walls are destroyed, in that day they shall sing this song upon the land of Judea. Behold, a strong city, and he shall establish our deliverance, the wall and rampart. Open, O gates, enter, O people, guarding righteousness and guarding truth. Take hold of truth and guarding peace, for upon you we hoped. O Lord, unto the Eon, the great eternal Elohim, who humbled and let down the ones dwelling in the heights. You shall throw down the fortified cities. That's talking about the walls. You shall throw down the walls and lead them unto the ground. And gentle feet shall tread them, and humble rostrums. The way of the pious becomes straight, and is being prepared the way of the pious. For the way of Yahuwah is equitable. We hoped upon your name and upon the remembrance of you, which our soul desires from out of the night. My spirit rises early to you, O Elohim. Your orders are light upon the land. Learn righteousness, O ones dwelling upon the land, for the impious ones ceases. For in no way should he learn righteousness upon the land. No way should he execute truth. Lift away the impious one, and he should not behold the glory of Yahuwah. O Yahuwah, your arm is high, but they knew not. But in knowing they shall be ashamed. Zeal shall take hold, and of an uninstructed people. There's another one. The Jews were instructed. Israel were an instructed people. They had the instructions. The Torah is called, in Hebrew Torah means instructions.
Yep. So that's referring to the nations.
Yes. Zeal shall take hold of the uninstructed people, and now fire shall devour the adversaries. O Yahuwah, our Elohim, give peace to us for all things you rendered to us. And it just keeps going. But in that day, we go back to verse 1, the gates are thrown open, the gates are gone, the walls are gone. Yahusha becomes our wall. Because the wall is the guardian, you know. They believed that the wall protected the city. But now the walls are gone, and Yahusha is our wall.
Amen.
Now it's talking about us.
He's our rampart. He's the chief cornerstone. He guards us, and we worship him. This is all the New Jerusalem. This is where we're at. And the gates are open. The gates are open. They are never shut. The nations get to come in.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's-
Nation
yeah.
that keeps the truth.
This is the land without borders.
Right.
Now, we've seen in Deuteronomy, the land had borders. This is now the land with no borders. The walls are gone.
Wow.
Isn't this powerful?
Oh.
People.
Yeah.
Open gates, enter people.
Did you guys see this? Those of you who did your homework?
Yep.
Oh, no, because you have a way of bringing things out.
Yeah.
You have to give us that, impart that to us.
You tell her.
Doggone it. I read it twice.
Then we go to chapter 27 real quick. It
Yeah.
starts out again. In that day, we got to remember which day. The day the walls fell. In that day, God will bring the sword. Oh, the great.
The holy and the great.
Holy
And
great and the strong sword.
Against the dragon.
against what? The dragon.
The dragon.
The
Yeah,
dragon.
I see that.
The fleeing
The fleeing
serpent.
serpent.
The fleeing serpent.
That's what mine says.
Against the dragon, the crooked serpent. He will do away with the dragon, the one in the sea.
Woohoo.
Ooh, the one in the lands. The one in,
Now, remember it talked about the beast,
Serpent.
Yep.
the dragon, the beast coming up from out of the sea in Revelation, and he took on the dragon. This is Satan. His dominion in the cosmos is gone. It's been destroyed.
He lost his lordship over this earth.
He is no longer the Lord of the air.
Yeah.
And in that day, what day?
Day when the walls came down.
The day when the walls came down, verse 27. You see why they removed that? The walls came down? You see why they got rid of that?
In chapter 27.
The Greek is amazing. The Greek is so amazing.
Yeah, and see, this was translated in 100 BC, 100 years prior to Yahusha, and the Greeks, or the Masoretic text, the Hebrew Masoretic text that most all of our English Bibles are translated from, that was translated in 1000 AD, after the fall of the temple, after Yahusha came, after the dispersion. You see why they would hide this information?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So now we go into verse 27:2. In that day there shall be a good vineyard, and a desire to lead a song concerning it. I am a fortified city, a city being assaulted. In full folly I water her, for she shall be captured by night and by day, and her walls shall fall. Well, they forgot to get rid of them all. I don't know. What does your guys say?
Mine
Does it say?
doesn't have anything about walls.
Yeah, mine neither.
Mine
Are you
says,
kidding me?
I, the Lord, keep it. I water it every moment, least any hurt it. There's nothing there
That's
about
all?
no wall.
Oh my goodness.
They just like to hide everything.
Wow.
I gotta highlight that. I didn't highlight it. Oh my goodness. And the guy I listened to, he talked about this. He was reading on the Masoretic text, and he caught all this, but he didn't. Oh my goodness. I gotta read that again.
Please.
I am a fortified city, a city being assaulted. So now he's talking as if he's Jerusalem. I am a fortified city, a city being assaulted. In folly I water her, for she shall be captured by night and by day. Her wall shall fall. There is not her who did not take hold of her. What? That doesn't even make sense. Therefore, because of this, Yahuwah did all as much as he ordered. I am incinerated. So go back to verse 3. When it says, when you said the Lord in there, the Lord's not in there at all. Read verse 3 again in the Masoretic text.
I am a fortified city, a city being assaulted in
No,
fall.
no.
In the Masoretic. In the Masoretic.
I want it like King James or
All right, just a minute. So it's what? It's 27 what?
3.
Okay, just a minute.
Read, yeah,
He
or
said-
out of the script.
It says, I, Yahuwah, do guard it. I water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I guard it night and day.
That is totally whacked out. Keep
Yeah.
reading. What's the
Okay.
next verse?
Wrath is not in me. Who would set thorn bushes and weeds against me in battle? I would go through them. I would burn them together.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let me read that again. I am a fortified city, a city being assaulted. In folly I water her, for she shall be captured by night and by day. Her walls shall fall. There is not not her who did not take hold of her. Therefore, because of this, Yahuwah did all as much as he ordered. I am incinerated.
So what are you reading out of?
This Greek.
The polyglot, the Greek Septuagint.
Polyglot.
Oh, okay.
The ones dwelling in her shall yell, saying, "We should make peace with him."
The Masoretic makes it sound like it's a new planted vineyard. A vineyard of red wine is what he guards and waters. Wow.
Well, keep reading.
In the
Okay.
Masoretic,
Oh, the
In the
I is interesting to me.
Okay.
Verse 3. I am. I don't know if that means the I am.
it is. It says, I
No,
Yahuwah.
it's not.
This
It's
is-
not Yahuwah.
It's not supposed
It's
to.
not Yahuwah. He is speaking as if he's the city.
Yes.
City. Okay, the city is speaking here. Okay, I get it.
Yes.
Gosh,
Because
I
he
am.
gets incinerated.
Look at verse 6
In what? The
Six.
Masoretic?
Yeah.
in the poly.
Oh, verse
Oh,
6.
God. Okay, the ones coming, children of Jacob, Israel shall burst forth and shall blossom, and the inhabitable world shall be filled with its fruit.
Wow.
Wow.
Those who
And
come
that's
in.
our future.
Yep.
That's our past and present.
Yeah.
This isn't our future. This
Okay.
already all happened.
Get away with it. That shall be done away with?
So what does verse 6 say in the scriptures?
It says, those who come, he causes to take root in Yaakov, Yisrael. Yaakov, Yisrael shall blossom and bud, and they shall fill the face of the world with fruit.
So they did okay on that verse.
Yeah.
They just didn't do okay on the other verse. They just kind of made up some other stuff.
Wow.
How's your voice holding out?
Oops.
What was that?
Yeah.
I threw it on the floor.
Oh,
Just give it a toss up. That's
I didn't
what
hear what she said.
I don't know what she said.
It was an accident.
Um,
Hear you? What?
well, I just said well.
Oh,
I didn't say. Okay, verse 7. Is it not he who struck, even he himself? So shall he struck. So shall be struck. Okay. So is it not he? I'm going to say that again. Is it not he who struck others, even he himself? So shall be struck. And as he did away with, also he himself, thus shall be done away with.
Okay, I'm going to read mine. It says, has he struck Israel? Has he struck those who struck him? Or has he been slain according to the slaughter of those who were slain by him?
Doesn't say anything about Israel.
No, that's not mentioned in the polyglot. Is it not he? Is it not he?
Oh.
Struck others. Is it not he
Is
struck
that
others?
talking
even to
about,
himself?
yeah,
Struck others even to him, even he himself, so shall be. See, I can't wrap my mind around that.
well, Israel's,
I haven't studied all this part out, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
Struck
Israel
others,
crucified
even he
Jesus,
himself, so
right?
shall be struck.
And so it's saying,
Struck, even
as he struck Israel, as he, no,
Has he struck Israel as they struck him?
right, or has he been slain according to the slaughter of those who were slain by him?
Yeah,
So-
that could be because he says, remember Yahusha said, all of the blood from Abel,
Right,
all the blood of the prophets
right.
from Abel onward
Mhm.
shall be on their head.
Well, that's why Jerusalem had to be destroyed, is because of all the people they killed, in including Jesus, all the prophets.
Yeah, and then if you keep reading in verse 8, he shall send them out doing combat and berating. Were you not the ones meditating with a harsh spirit to do away with them in a spirit of rage? On account of this, the lawlessness shall be removed from Jacob, and this is his blessing. Whenever I should remove the sin of his, whenever they should furnish all the stones of the shrines for being cut in pieces as a fine powder. What does yours guys say there?
Their trees remain.
All right, so that's
They're
verse
idols.
8.
Verse 9.
8, okay.
Verse
Verse
8, 9.
Therefore, by this, in chapter 27, correct?
Yeah.
All right, 27:8 says, in measure, by sending her away, you contended with her. He shall take away by his rough wind in the day of the east wind. Therefore, by this, the crookedness of Jacob is covered, and this is all the fruit of taking away his sin, when he makes all the stones of the slaughter place like chalk stones and are beaten to dust.
Oh.
Asherim and sun pillars rise no more. That doesn't even make sense to me.
Okay.
Wow.
No, it
Well,
does.
when there's no more altars, when there's no more
Yeah,
images, no more incense.
yep.
No more altars for doing
Sacrifices.
sacrifices. See that reads quite different from the Greek Septuagint. Yeah. Because this talks about him cleansing the land from the lawlessness out of Jacob. And
this is
to
just
me-
talking about the crookedness of Jacob.
and yours says it will be covered. This says it will be removed.
Well,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that the destruction of the temple, from reading the whole context, his removing was his burning it up and everyone in it.
Well, covering the iniquity is the same thing. In other words, what Jacob's people did wrong, that iniquity is covered.
Yeah, but see, it's not covered. It's removed.
yeah, it's not covered, it's removed. Right.
Right.
And he
The
removed
lawlessness shall be
lawlessness,
removed.
and he left a remnant. Because if you read the whole context, he left a remnant of Jacob, and that's the 144,000 of the believers that didn't reject the deliverer, Yahusha. And so he removed those who refused to walk in his ways, that rejected the deliverance, because Yahusha was the deliverance. So he had to remove them with their sin.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then whenever they should furnish all the stones of the shrines for being cut in pieces as powder, fine powder. And I would believe this would include the temple.
Mm-hmm.
They were sacrificing animals to other gods, including the Caesar of Rome, in that temple. So it was a shrine. It didn't have Yahuwah in it. So then it talks about their idols being cut down. But man, there's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, verse 12, 27:12. And it will be in that day. So we got in that day again.
Mhm.
Yahuwah will shut up together from the aqueduct of the river unto Rhinosora.
Yep.
Rhinosora. But you shall gather together the sons of Israel according to one by one, and it will be in that day they shall trump the great trumpet. Okay, there's the Feast of Trumpets.
Wow.
In that day, so verse 13. And it shall be in that day they shall trump the great trumpet, and shall the ones being lost
Casts.
In the
in
Place.
Of the Syrians
Assyrians.
and the ones being lost in Egypt.
And the
shall
ones-
come, and the ones being lost in Egypt, and they shall do obeisance to Yahuwah upon the mount in Jerusalem.
Mm. Mount Zion.
There's that Rhinoceros. Rhinoceros.
Um,
The river of rhinoceros.
yeah, how about that?
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
That's one of our words.
Yeah.
Holy mountain.
Wow.
I'm not reading no more.
Okay.
Okay. You better go to bed and sleep and do whatever you have to do to get well.
But this is powerful stuff.
It really, really,
Yes,
really
it
is.
And I don't know what I've never studied this out before. I assume they believe it's in our future or whatever.
I've never heard anybody speak on this or try to teach on this ever.
Well, because they don't look at the Old Testament.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't even try.
Yeah.
But those of us that have some Hebrew believers, or what do you call them, Hebrew roots and Messianics, I think doing Deuteronomy and Isaiah, and then tying it into Revelation.
Are you getting hungry a little?
Me? No.
Yeah. You're not. We're going to send food home with Yeti.
Sounds good. Is there anything else you guys want to add to this before we close?
I can't think of what it would be right now.
Thank you for connecting the dots for us.
Oh man,
Wow,
yes,
thank you.
yes.
And even when you're sick, you're still precious and help us. I mean, there's so much to think about and go over, and your mind is going crazy, but there's such an excitement in your spirit. You know, it's like, wow, it's wonderful. It's like a diamond.
It is.
Being brilliant of a little diamond. Thank you, Anya.
I wasn't gonna come on, but I was studying and I was like, oh my goodness, I discovered that verse where they totally took out the wall, verse 23, and then here it's also that other those other verses they changed too.
I'm glad you spotted that.
See, I read through this twice during the week, and it was like blah 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 blah.
But I didn't read
I'm sorry, but it
But
it was like it
It
didn't
was still
speak
blah,
to me at
blah,
all.
What does this have to do with anything?
I know.
it's just that somehow she pulls this stuff out.
Well, that's why I went to.
You can't really read the Masoretic text hardly anymore. It's good to look back and see what they're doing, but it's made me realize I've got to get my Polly out a lot more.
Yes.
It's hard to read, especially at night. It's so tiny.
I know.
But
Oh,
I'm
once
gonna
you
buy,
brought this up, it really made me realize we need to really look at this stuff because we have been taught so many weird things. Ugh.
I'm gonna have to get I'm just gonna get a full page magnifier that you can just lay
You
on.
know, I thought the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy one of those, you know.
Oh,
I'll bring it. I'll bring it before you. They weren't that expensive.
well, what do we say?
Wow.
We get the,
What
I got
was,
some of those.
It depends.
Yeah, I got some of those.
It depends on.
what was that other verse that they changed? They took it. Oh, was it 27:3?
Where they did what?
Change,
Oh,
they
they
left
took
up
the
the
oath?
wall or something.
Oh, yeah, he says, yeah, they make it sound like he's talking about a new vineyard. He says, I, Yahuwah, do guard it. I water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I guard it day and night. And verse 2 says, in that day sing to her a vineyard of red wine.
What? It was,
I, Yahuwah, do guard it.
no, what about the oath?
So it was a new
I
song.
think that's what she was asking about.
I was
You asked
asking my,
about the oath,
well,
Monica?
none of that's in there. Verse 3, 27:3.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, right. It's
That's
not.
what you read just now.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing about wine in here or vineyards or nothing.
So in here, 27:3 says, I am a fortified city, a city being assaulted. In folly I water her, for she shall be captured by night and by day. Her walls shall fall. There is not, wait a minute, there is not her who did not take hold of her. Therefore, because of this, the Lord did all as much as he ordered. I am incarcerated.
Incinerated.
Incinerated. Rather be incarcerated than incinerated.
Yeah,
But that's not talking about it. That's not talking about a vineyard at all.
And that doesn't sound like a huge blessing to that city.
I think that whoever was doing the interpretation was drinking wine.
No.
It's
I
from the
think
Masoretic.
that and went, holy cow, we're going to have to change this, or they're going to think this had to do with 80/70 and Jesus is the Messiah.
Yeah.
We got to change this.
Sneaky, huh? Because we don't know.
Yeah, the average believer does not know, and that's why the Zionistic agenda of the Jews is all throughout the church, because the church study their text.
The Zionists, okay, they translated from the Septuagint, correct? That's where the Masoretic
No, the Masoretic text.
is a Hebrew translation of the Greek Septuagint.
No.
No.
No. Okay, you guys need to do some research on the Masoretic text.
All right.
Okay, and I don't know if they, from what I understand, it was a group of Pharisaic Jewish rabbinic Jews called the Masoretes that went into the original Hebrew scriptures,
The original Hebrew?
what they called the original Hebrew, which whatever they had, and it's a group of texts called the Masoretic texts. Now, but see, they changed. Those guys did not believe in Yahushua, and whenever they saw verses that related to him and showed that he was the Messiah, they changed verses, and this is one of them. They saw that this was a direct reference to the fall of Jerusalem. Those translators, and when they made one Hebrew Bible, the Hebrew Bible in 1000 AD, they changed these verses.
Right.
So our Bibles, because when the Protestant church, we got the Catholics, they actually used the Greek Septuagint, and but they misused everything, So when the Protestants broke away from the Catholic Church, they decided that the Jews knew more than the Catholics, so they abandoned the Greek Septuagint, saying that it was an improper translation, because it was different than the Hebrew text. Well, when the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, and I believe that's why everything happened in Jerusalem, was to find those scrolls.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
And it's taken all this time to get it released, because it exposed the Catholic Church. It exposed a lot of stuff. And one thing it exposed was that the Septuagint is more closely in line with the original Hebrew scriptures, because the Dead Sea Scrolls is the oldest Hebrew text that we have. It's not complete because it's so deteriorated, but they seen there's enough evidence to show that the Septuagint was more accurate. So now the Septuagint is growing, and now we're finding these things.
Wow. Wow.
And even when I was in Bible college 20 years ago, the Dead Sea Scrolls was not made public. We knew about them, that only the scholars had them. It wasn't until the 90s that it was made public. Like 2009 era, that time. So it's
Well,
really
isn't it because they had to translate them?
Yes, and also the Catholic Church was holding on to them like there was a war between the Catholic Church and the Jews, and and they had to translate them and everything. So it's been quite an ordeal to get them public. But think of all the things that have happened in Jerusalem, and I don't know, it was really soon after the 6-Day War or whatever happened, that started Jerusalem's independence, that they found these scrolls. So I think that's part of the blessing or the reason for all of that has happened. But they're never going to have their temple, and they're never going to have walls again. So,
wow.
They can keep worshiping their wall.
Definitely going to attempt to build it, but I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
I don't know that it's going to ever be finished.
Well, it will never be a temple of Yahuwah.
They might even build the entire structure, but it won't be.
Yeah.
It'll always remain desolate.
It's temple.
Right.
Right.
Just a building.
Yeah.
Who's going to say closing prayer? I said the beginning.
Carol.
Yes.
Pray.
Yes. Let me sound the shofar.
Okay.
On the shofar. What a great teaching.
Good job.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father, for opening up our minds and our hearts and the word to us, by allowing us to understand more and more and more, even when it seems confusing. It's sinking in, Father. We feel it. We know it. We see it. We're experiencing it through the Spirit.
Amen.
Thank you so much. We thank you so much. Please heal Anya. Give her vigor and restore her health, and help her sweet husband not to get it either. Thank you, Father, for this wonderful group, that there's no fear in asking questions or getting answers, or there's just no fear. That it's just such a wonderful group. And I thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, Father. To spend the Shabbat in such great company with such great teaching is such an honor. I feel like I should be paying for this. This is that good. It is so wonderful, Father. Thank you. And I just ask you, Lord, to please just bless everyone. Bless everyone this week. Give them a renewed heart and spirit inside them, knowing that you are there and you're teaching us, and you are the one that is teaching us. You are. Your spirit in us. We're listening. We're listening, Father. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on you be blessed in Messiah, knowing he's healing you, and be strong. Thank you, Father. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Well,
Amen.
Carol, you have a blessed day.
Yes, thank you. I'm kind of high. I feel like I'm fine. I think it's because it's just so good. This is so good.
You
I love
drank
you.
some Holy Ghost speed or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Father. And thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Yes, you
You
too,
too,
sister.
Shavu Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Okay, who wants ice cream and cookies?
Oh,
Now
man.
take the recording off, hun. Gotta
Right.
stop recording.
No.
Stop.
Thank you,
Swear.
Anya, for joining us, dear.
Did it go off?
There. Oh.
I'm still here until I
Mhm.
see his face disappear.
Yes,
Sorry, I
you will
can't
receive
send
an
ice cream
email
to you.
notification when the
Say
cloud
yes.